And so, just such a blessing. Community has just been incredible.
So excited about Emmanuel. It's not just Emmanuel and Barrie. I keep hearing the word revival in Barrie, Ontario. You had an expansion program, and it filled up like that.
That's right, yeah.
You have another expansion program for the fall.
That's right. Well, yeah, probably in the spring we're going to start that program.
In
that's
the
right.
spring,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
I'm so thrilled for you. And God downloading music. God ministered to your heart, Paul, through songs.
Yeah. Yeah, both of us have been writing songs since we were very, very little. And
in fact, you met at Bible school in Nashville.
Yeah. In fact,
singing to each other.
In fact, I need to tell you that one of the ways I started to show my interest in Angela, I said to her one day, I said, I understand you're a songwriter. And she says, yeah. I said, I'd love to hear some of your songs. Maybe we can write some songs together, right? So,
what a line.
Yeah, so it was a bit of a pickup line. But
it's happened.
It worked.
Yes, it
yeah.
worked.
Oh, I scored big time. So, but that's right. We met down in Nashville, and that was one of the reasons I was there, was to try and develop that skill and that talent. And you know, God, as an artist, that's the way we see the world. We express ourselves through poetry, through music, through art. And so, you know, that's for us.
Through drama, as we've seen.
Through drama, exactly. And so that's just one way for us to express our desires to God, and our need of God, and our love for God, and our questions, or our anxiety. That's how we do that. So
David played his harp too.
That's right.
Those weren't just words, they were songs.
Yeah.
Some very interesting, I'm going to try and track with you through this mom's journal. The same time you were doing the IBI therapy, you implemented a gluten-free diet. It immediately helped.
Immediately. Eye contact return. That was one of the things that left Scarlett, was her eye contact. She wouldn't acknowledge you or look at you. And
I actually have a picture of Scarlett looking out the window.
Yeah.
And I just see a little bit of that distance in that
Yeah.
picture. How old is she here?
she would have been about 4 there. She had been pulling out her hair and she wouldn't stop, so we had to shave her head. And she was just in a bad place in that picture.
But you know, even in that, I need to tell you that God has a sense of humor, because one of the words that she came out with shortly after we shaved her head like that was Buddha. And I thought, she's got this Buddhist haircut, and she's been saying Buddha around the house. So we laughed and we laughed.
The lighter side.
Yeah, I mean, you need to learn to laugh at these things.
A Dan doctor. You found a Dan doctor.
Yes.
What's one of those?
Dan Doctor, it's an acronym. It stands for Defeat Autism Now. And if you have an autistic kid, you need to find a Dan Doctor. They have a website. You can just punch in Dan Doctors on Google.
Are they hard to find? Are there lots of them?
No, there's not a lot here in our area. And in fact, it's a great story how I found the one that we're connected with. I prayed before I went online. There was a list. I chose a doctor, prayed, God help me. And when I went back to find a doctor for a friend, he was the only one left on the list in our area. So his name is John Ganaj. He's amazing. And what they do is they're medical doctors, most of them, who deal also naturopathically and deal a lot of alternative therapies that
so they
have
combine.
Yes, and
two streams.
he has so helped Scarlett. She's a
specific carbohydrate diet, and 2 weeks into this, you couldn't believe it was the same girl.
No, both Paul and I was cooking dinner. She sat down on the couch all by herself and just sat. And she would never sit still ever. She was
constantly
running
around, flapping around.
Yeah, and we're like, this cannot be our daughter. And we have been on it for about 1.5 years, and we're now starting to come off of it, but it has really seen some big results with her.
This is a positive progression. Temper tantrums were common. Those diminished. Steps.
Supportive therapies for educating people with special needs. They are our IBI provider. They have been a godsend to us. They have come in, they've said, you know what, your daughter is intelligent. We see so much potential. They've seen what I saw in Scarlett and have just supported us and been amazing.
Scarlett has learned to sign.
Yes, they've taught her sign. They told me at the beginning when they diagnosed her, she can't do sign. Like, she won't be able to do that. And so I never really pushed it, but the other therapies weren't working for her. And they came in and said, she's so capable. And she has about 4 signs, and now they're using a voice output device. We're working on that, so she pushes a button and it says for her what she needs to say. And
this line was great. I put a big heart beside it. She is ecstatic to be able to communicate her needs to us.
She's so excited. She jumps up and down when we get it, and it's just so neat.
You know, we don't want to be fear mongers here in any way, but we know that one of the suggestions is tied to early immunization of children. What has happened internally for your daughter has some reinforcement for that theory. Tell us what the connection is.
There is, if you read a lot about autism, they call it the gut-brain connection. And the theory is that several things, environmental, whether it's viruses, get lodged in the intestines and destroy the normal intestinal function, and in effect leave a child with a leaky gut, they call it, where there's actual holes in your gut. So undigested food gets through, and it actually gluten is a particular offender, and casein, the protein in milk, reproduce sort of a peptide that's like an opiate, which is responsible for some of the crazy, bizarre behavior. So once you take them off of those and you heal the lining in their gut and get the intestines healed up, and they can actually properly digest and distribute their food to where it needs to go, then you see some of those crazy, the tantrums completely disappeared. We hardly ever have a tantrum with her anymore.
For months she had been biting holes in the back of her hands, like drawing blood, and we'd have to bandage her hands.
Out
and all of that stopped. All of those symptoms stopped, and within just a few weeks afterwards.
Is this an ongoing positive progression?
It is.
You're not stuck. It's not static.
No, some
Scarlet's
days
improving.
She is.
Scarlet's in there, and it's a matter. One author who has written a couple books about this said it's like pulling somebody out the window. They're in there, and that window's only open for a certain amount of time, and try to pull them out while you still can, and that's really what we've been trying to do. And so there's glimpses of that Scarlet that are starting to reappear. She's become more social. She's still nonverbal, but she's becoming potty trained. I mean, that's been a huge step. Just in the last 6 months, we've seen a lot of progress in that area. And but yeah, it's possible. Autism is treatable. Without God's help, it's not curable. God can miraculously heal her. We believe that. But according to the medical community, it's not curable, but it is treatable. You can get a better version of your autistic child than what you have right now, and that's one of the things that we've been trying to do.
It seems to be in the news every week. It's a huge issue. Early diagnosis is so strongly emphasized, 18 months if possible. Let's look at Scarlet today. She turned 5 in July. And she sure looks like a happy
Her hair's
girl.
growing back there, yeah.
She's at the petting zoo. She was so happy.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's in Prince Edward Island this summer. We went out on a vacation. Yeah.
wonderful.
She's laughing now and interacting to things, and it's just so nice to see her start.
You've had another baby as
Yes,
well. Sky.
Sky.
How old is little Sky?
She's 2.
So you're a family of 5, 3 children, and you're in this together. And you're not wasting a bit of it. I love your blog.
Thank you.
You're divinelystartled.blogspot.com. Do you want to make a note of that? You're open to interact with others in the journey.
Oh, yeah.
Divinely startled. I love that.
Thank you.
The hope is in your title.
God
God is not outside the loop of this.
No, and there's so many times he just, it's like epiphanies, you know, those moments where you're just like, he's here, and I just heard his voice, and it's been in the middle of this thing that I would never, ever wish for anybody or have wanted for myself, but he's been so present and so real, and you just see him in so many moments.